All right, my friends, we're going to show you a barbell retirement plan in action. This is going to be fantastic. Just got off the horn with the guy today from the great state of Maine, where all the cool kids are from. And given that I'm a cool kid, inherently, logic says I must be from Maine, which is true. Hey, boys. All right, so he just retired, all right, in December, working part-time for a little bit of extra income. And we're just a good conversation, good guy, as most people are in Maine, and he's going to be good to go. But we're going to show what we came up with. Actually, he kind of concocted this, which is spot on. So let's make sure that this is not it's a dry erase. Okay. So basically, the guy right now, he's got $2.5 million. And for the most part, all stocks. Not quite, but it's basically an 85-15 stock to bond ratio. All right, 2.5 million. He has about 100,000 in cash, but he's like, he kind of doesn't include that in the plan because he's like, that's the money he's going to use for, you know, day-to-day things that he needs. He wants to keep that money in cash. So he's like not even considering that until like literally worst case scenario. All right. So his question is, now he's made a boatload of money, man. Made a boatload of money. He said, he hires Fisher and some other firm, they've done right by him in terms of his fees. In terms of net of fees, at the end of the day, he's smart. He goes, I probably could have done just as well, maybe even better net of fees, but whatever. So that's the way to look at it. You're like, I just want to make sure they're not killing me. If I'm paying a fee, I want to make sure it's value added. But he's fine with that. But he recognizes it's not like these guys are. He would have been in the poorhouse that had not hired these guys. All right. So we're sitting there thinking, okay, so he's 60, in the mid-60s right now. He got a couple years for Social Security kicks in. He does have a small pension, small-ish pension. Not that small, a couple $1,000 a month, but it's a pension nonetheless. Debt is basically paid off. Just a hard-working guy, you know what I'm saying? He and his wife, they got grandkids they want to hang out with. It's just your typical American story. He went to work young, been married to his high school sweetheart. Live frugally, don't drive fancy schmancy cars, even though he does want to buy one. He wants to get some of that ICE juice coming in. Rum! 750 horsepower, baby. And that's a toy. I get it. Like, it's all good. But so he's sitting there thinking, well, what can we do to potentially reduce taxes? Because this is pretty much all in deferred accounts. You like that smell? You like the smell of my marker? It doesn't really, Finn is trying to spell this. Oh my God, hi there, big boy. You're such a good dog. I love you. And it's not much you can do, Frank. He's got a couple years before he takes Social Security, but we hit this every which way to Sunday, and there's just no ways to skin this cat. He's going to have to pay. That's for sure. You're going to pay the tax man. But it's better to pay taxes on money you have than not pay tax on money you need, if that makes sense. So, that should be my catchphrase. This is the second time I've said that in 2 days. I like that little saying. So we're sitting there thinking, what's he going to do? All right. So the issue that he's thinking, and this is what he came up with, and my thought. So basically, my thought process was take $750,000 and move it over to Wellesley. All right, $750,000, move it over to Wellesley, VWINX, and that would reduce this amount to 1.75, all right? Oh, 1.5, it was 2.25, that's what it was. It's 2.25, and so anyway, that would reduce that to 1.5. Now, he's got to split out between firm A and firm B. Right now, firm A's got 1.5, and firm B's got 750, if that makes sense. And so I was saying reduce this to 750 and put 750 over Wellesley. Now, we had thought about doing some Roth conversions and stuff. It's just not going to make that much of a hill of beans. He ultimately leave his kids with a pretty good amount of money anyway. He's like, look, I don't mind leaving them money. I'm not trying to, live like a pauper so I can leave them millions of dollars tax-free. So I said, we'll just, we'll pay, but we don't want to pay more so we can leave them more, if that makes sense. So then we said, okay, now here's the problem with the Wellesley. Is it's still a security. And even though it's 40% or 60% bonds, it's still 40% stocks. So he said, what if I did this, Josh? What if I moved 750 over to a money market? All right. And this is, man, I tell you, I said, that is fantastic. So then I said, here's the, that'll make his wife a lot happier too, because she's like, I'd put it all in a money market, but $750 in a money market. And then I said, well, that's a great way to look at this. Let's just say now this is still within his IRA. All right, just want a 401k/IRA. 1.5 million, 750 still within his 401k IRA. The plan of action is then to take every year 250,000 out and pay tax on. All right, so not Roth conversions, because this is the money he's going to live on, be cash. So still, then you have 500,000 in the money market, and then cash. All right, so net of taxes will probably be $200,000. So at the end of the day, when all is said and done, net of taxes, he'll have $600,000 sitting in cash at the bank, for which he's already paid tax on. After 3 years, he'll just live off. Then when Social Security kicks in, he's fine. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of this money will grow. Now, of course, I'll grow with taxes to grow too, but we'll have to cross that bridge later. Anyway, so the issue here is that it's freaking perfect. It's perfect. So this is still an IRA, So he pulls this out. It goes to literally a cash account. So he's paying the tax on it. So he'll have 200,000, 200,000, 200,000 net of cash. All right. So check this out. So what do we do then? So now we got nothing in the money market. He's got all this cash on the side. Now, so one of three things is going to happen with this portfolio. It's either going to go up, down, or sideways. One of those three things. That's it. All right. So let's say it goes up to 2 million, or goes from 1.5 to 2 million. So he's living off this cash. Again, it's 750,000. By the time 3 years are done, it'll be 600,000 net, essentially. He's going to live off this cash, and that could probably cover him for freaking 10 years. I think he's needing about $5K a month. Now that's before health insurance, but he does have small pension and Social Security. So this right here will cover his discretionary without him ever making money again for 10 years. But all right, let's just say this goes from 1.5 to 2 million. All right. Now all this is zeroed out because it's all sitting in cash. Got nothing in here. Well, what do? Joops. I just do 500,000. All right. And then you start pulling that out, maybe a 150 clip or something like that. So now I went to 2 million. Now this is back to 1.5. All right. So now that's at 500K. Something like that, right? That's one thing. That looks pretty good to me. And you start pulling money out, 150,000 a year, or just let it sit in the cash account. Or you can invest it in a VTI or something like that. But again, each year the financial plan changes with each year, if that makes sense. All right, so 750, again, we'll go back to the initial scenario. So he takes a 750, moves it from here, puts it in the barbell, the other half of the barbell. He's got 1.5 million over here. We showed you what happens if this 1.5 million grows to 200,000. You take the 500,000 off for sure. Now, what happens if this sinks to 1 million? I actually said 750. Well, it falls by 50% and sinks to 750. Well, now he's just still living off this right here. He's not touching that. Now, I would actually convert this to a Roth probably. So you got to move this over a little bit, Finney. There we go. It's going to be hard to see. I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll do it the other way. Now, if that dropped to 750, I would start converting this 750, some of it, doesn't have to be the whole thing, to Roth to take advantage of the low market valuations. But be that as it may, we don't want to touch, if this drops to 750, we don't want to touch that, if that makes sense. We're just living off that. I hope that makes sense. Now, ideally, this will, once we're spending down to zero here, right? Ideally, this will have grown back to 1.5 million, and then we'll have zero here too. All right. So, ideally, if we went to 750, and we just spending that down again, that's going to cover us for many years. But we'll say we're 10 years from now. We'll say this grew back to 1.5. Well, then you do the same thing. Then you say, okay. Might not need to do 750 at this stage, but we'll just say, for another 10 years, he needs 600,000, 500,000, whatever it is. So we'll just move 500 over here. And this will leave us with $1 million. All right. So you can see, and if it goes sideways, it's the same thing. You live off this portfolio. You don't live off this portfolio. If this is going sideways or down, you live off this portfolio. If this goes down, you convert to Roth. If this goes up, you move money to cash and start taking it out on a regular basis. And you can take money out and convert it too. It doesn't matter, but that's how it works. All right, so if it goes sideways, you're just living off this guy. But again, for just simplicity, let's go back. I know it's going to be, you repeat yourself too much because it helps me to explain it when I repeat to myself, to my own head, if that makes sense. So we got 2.25 million or 2.2, something like that, and nothing. All right, we've had a big run. So we're going to take 750,000 from here. It's going to leave us 1.5. And we're going to have 750. Oops, I got that zero. All right, so that's what we're looking at. We're going to live off this money. Now, you don't have to pull it out like he's doing at 250 a clip. You can do whatever you want. All right, so that's where we're starting off, year one. Now, what happens this? It either goes up, it goes over, sideways, or it goes down. Goes down, we do Roth. Sideways, I would not do. Up, we put money over here. It's literally that simple, Roth. Because again, we are at a market top. I mean, it doesn't mean the market won't go higher. It just means no one's going to sit there, at least I don't think, anyone's going to sit there and say the market hasn't grown exponentially over the last 10 years. So we're certainly, the Roth conversion scenarios today seem a lot less beneficial than they did 10 years ago. That's just a fact because we are so far up in terms of gains in this market cycle. I'm not big convinced on Roth conversions at this stage, not with the market's this high. Well, I was telling him for this stage, I said, well, I'll do another video on this, but hope that makes sense. That's how you do the barbell in action. All right, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you.